But I have the other ones available in there. But
What? So, Luke, what are you drinking today? Coca-Cola.
Morning on the way to the gym and set my ukulele on top of the car and then drove off down the road.
Going to be the bow after that. Thank you. All right. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Look at that.
Yo! I learned my lesson from last night. What a welcome, thank you. I drink the most fruity drinks imaginable.
It's laundry day.
it's laundry day.
So you always wear hats with laundry day?
I'm here to do you a favor, James. I just say later.
So how did you two meet?
Well, there's these places in San Francisco. I think they're called bathhouses.
It's like one of those things where everyone wants to focus on like the big events that happen, but day to day, what we're doing is we're on like one of our draw streams, smoking weed, making comics. It's chill. It's so much fun, and like
Man, I'm not a YouTuber. I do this because I want to sell comic books. Woo! Yes! There we are, guys. Can you hear me? Is my sound good? I'm always a bit terrified that things don't function. So is my sound good, guys? In that case, yes, this is the first time that we're streaming through the Madness Network. So multiple platforms. So I have like 26 viewers right now. It's crazy. It's crazy. So welcome all. It is Sunday. This means another episode of A Drink with Brink, where I talk with other indie creators about their hopes and their dreams and their lives, but also their books and their creations and their campaigns and their hobbies and whatever they make, right? Because I'm kind of done with mainstream. Mainstream kind of bores me, and indie is where the passion is. I hope you're all having a fantastic weekend, a great Sunday. I've been working a little bit this Sunday. I've been always writing. I have to write every day, otherwise it's kind of a lost day, right? And next week I'm starting my vacation. So I have like a few weeks of vacation, which means I will spend it all on on writing and creating new stuff, So I'm so excited for that. There's a lot going on, a lot of things that we're making. We're working right now on Perfect 10 book 6, which is the final like issue of the arc. So that's really, really cool. And we are doing Safeguard issue 1. I'm working on that together with Mr. Alan Goldman. It's really crazy. And I have some other things in the pipeline. Some things I can't really talk about just yet. But I'm really excited to be here and to be with you guys today. We have a wonderful guest, a new guest to the show, never been on the show before, which is really cool. So I can introduce myself to new people, you to new people, and new people to you, right? Wow. Okay. Let's see. So things are a little bit different than usual because chats are coming in from various destinations. So first off, I see Gorilla Mar. Gorilla Mar's here. Welcome, sir. Welcome, Gorilla Mar. How are you today? Good to see you. Guys, Gorilla Mar has a YouTube channel where he does reviews of indie comic books. So go subscribe. Go check it out. Welcome, Landon Arts. Welcome, sir. Welcome. Nathaniel Wright, NC Wright. Welcome, Nathaniel. Nice to see you. Nice to see you in the chat. On this Sunday, we have Derek the Dukester Clay. Welcome, Derek the Dukester Clay. Welcome, sir. So cool to see you all. Mike is with us also. Good day for a drink all. Yeah, it's a good day for a Brink with drink today. Welcome, Mike. I hope you're having a fantastic day. And Madness Entertainment Group, he says, welcome to the Madness, Dave. Thank you so much. First time streaming through with the Madness. It's really cool, really exciting. We've been working towards this for a few weeks or even months. We've been talking about it, and I had some technical problems, so we had to delay things a little bit, but today is the day, finally. Gorillamar states that he hears me loud and clear. That's good to know. Thank you for letting me know, sir. Grey Wolf, welcome to the chat. Grey Wolf, welcome. Excellent. And then we have Geekman, Masters of the Thunder Nerds. What a wonderful title. That's fantastic. That's a fantastic title. Wonderful logo also, man. That's really cool. Welcome. Let's see, who else do we have? We have Grey Wolf. We have Neo Tengu. Welcome, Neo Tengu. Welcome. Mike says, Dave, Brian Boggs, awesome review of the Perfect 10 series was excellently, completely accurate. Oh, thank you so much. Praise always well due, my friend. Yeah, I'm what's the word? Flustered. Like I feel like a little when I read that, I'm like, oh man, I'm really happy. It almost makes me cry, man. I'm so glad that people like what we produce. It's a lot of work, a lot of money, a lot of resource, a lot of work, and eventually it gets to readers, and then readers respond like that they really love the series. I'm very, very grateful to all you guys for the support, but also to my creative team, to everyone who makes this happen. Really, really cool. Jonin Level Fox, welcome. Just subscribe. Thank you, Neo Tengu. Yeah, guys, go subscribe. And we have Jacob Jackson is with us today in the chat. Welcome, Jacob. Wow, a lot of people. Thank you all for showing up, guys. All right, it's time for the guest. Like I said, he never been on the show before. And I'm really, really excited to talk with him about whatever we're going to talk about. Probably some creative stuff. So let's bring him on, guys. Let's let me seek the right. There we go, the right video, because I would like a warm applause for the guest for today. May I have a very warm welcome for Mr. MugenLord. Yes, there he is.
Hey, what's up, everybody? What's going on?
Ooh, welcome, sir. Welcome. How are you today, man?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm glad that you contacted me a couple of days ago and said, hey, we still on, because I remember we talked about it a month ago. I literally forgot. So I'm glad you reminded me, because I was about to plan something else today or whatever. Phew. So I'm glad you came and contacted me, because I literally forgot. Man. But I'm glad. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you, sir. So I noticed that when I talked to you through X, that many people seem to know you. And for me, you were relatively new, so I kind of checked some things out, and I think you are most known for content that has to do with games. Is that correct?
Yep. Video games. Yep. I started my YouTube channel. I've been around for a long time. I started my YouTube channel around 2007. My name is MugenLord is because my channel specialized in this fighting game engine called Mugen, which allows you to create your own fighting games, customize characters, create all kinds of dream matches. You can have Marvel fight DC, The Simpsons fight Family Guy, Sonic fight Mario. You can, whatever your mind is at, you can pretty much make it a reality. So I had gained a huge following from there. And then, fast forward to, I guess you would say around 2012 or maybe 2013, I pivoted away from Mugen and just became more like general like gaming. Like I cover gaming news because I'm a gamer. I'm a gamer
Sure.
and everything.
Yeah.
So I kind of pivoted away from Mugen. Started losing my interest in Mugen. Plus, I was in college at the time, and then also a father as well. So I kind of pivoted away from that. And I guess you would say, you know, once I graduated from college in 2014, came home and really started pushing the, you know, the gaming content and channel even more, doing unboxings, you know, of consoles and everything. And then, you know, around 2023 is when the whole culture war aspect in Hollywood, gaming, comics and stuff really started becoming a vocal point on my channel, where I started, you know, giving my personal opinion, how I feel, how Hollywood had ruined a lot of my, you know, Marvel and DC, you know, characters and everything that I've grown up and love and stuff. And then also in gaming and with, you know, Western ideology has, you know, pretty much ruined gaming for me and stuff. So I pretty much voiced my opinions on it and stuff. And I don't know, overnight, Asmund Gold shared my video, Melanie Mack shared my videos, everybody started sharing my videos.
Right.
And I went from 12,000 subscribers, and now I'm at what, 24K over.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's been for like a year and a half. I had reached that far, and
wow.
Yeah.
This goes to show how far you can get with like focusing on this culture war aspect, right? So before that, did you like, because the culture war thing was going on for a long time before 2020, right? So did you like skate by that? Did you like avoid it?
Yeah. Well, the thing was, I would just voice my opinion to myself and amongst my community, like, to the people that I had in front of me and everything. Because Gamergate started around 2014, the year that I graduated from college. So it felt like I was in like time had froze while I was in college, because none of this third wave feminism and all this other type of stuff wasn't a thing while I was on campus. It's like the moment I graduated and stepped back home, I got hit with a culture shock. Society had changed. I'm like, what the hell's going on here, or whatever like that. And it got frustrating. I would voice my opinions on it, on live streams, but I never made videos, like dedicated videos. It was just something I would talk about on live streams. I had a stream segment called Mugen After Dark. And that's where we talk about a lot of like I guess you say conspiracy theories, all kinds of stuff. We get really spicy. It gets really adult oriented when we talk about certain topics and stuff like that. But it wasn't until 2023 where I said, you know what? No, I want to make a video about this, because I'm tired of how the gaming industry, especially in the West, taking female characters and just hitting them with the ugly stick and stuff like that. Hitting them with the ugly stick, and then they telling us, and they calling us misogynists and something wrong with us and stuff. So I just voiced my opinion about it. I always talked about it. I just never made a dedicated video. So I decided just to make one video. It's going to be a one and done video.
Yeah,
but I expect that one.
That's how it starts.
And it just blew up. And I was like, oh my God. So now I'm getting hit with all these subscribers and stuff. And I was like, okay, I would like to try to pivot them to my gaming stuff. But more people wanted to hear my opinion. They say, yo, like, this MugenLord guy is saying everything I want to say, but I'm too scared of getting canceled and stuff. So people stuck around, and I just started doing the content. But after a while, I got burnt out from it, because the culture war, it started getting polarizing. It got to the point where people don't want nuance. It's black and white. It became like a team sport. You either on our side, you're not on our side. Or if I say something that doesn't scratch your bias, then all of a sudden I'm woke. All of a sudden I'm all these other type of things. And I'm like, no, I didn't come to this space to just placate to you. No, I'm just speaking from my heart. I'm speaking what's on my mind. If there's some stupidity going on, no matter what side it's on, I'm going to call it out. So I had experienced burnout from that. So I was like, you know what, I need to get away from this culture war stuff, because this was supposed to be a one and done thing, but it got really, really crazy, because after I blew up, that's when I started getting invited on podcasts. Everybody started wanting me on their people started wanting me on their platform. And I remind you, I'm doing Venus Orion Comics in the background. I haven't announced Venus Orion Comics yet. I've been working on Venus Orion Comics for 5 years behind the scenes and stuff like that. So no one has any idea that I'm cooking up my own independent, comic book universe and everything like that, which we'll get into soon. But so I'm working, I'm doing this. with this culture war stuff, and people started calling me a culture war YouTuber. I said, no, I'm not that. I still I still cover video games. I cover other things and stuff like that. Just that whenever something that really, I'm passionate about in that culture war space, I'll voice my opinion, and that's
Exactly.
It's nothing more than that.
That's it. I don't think there are many people. Some do, but are many people who don't really want to talk about it. But it's kind of infested their hobbies, right? So at some point you have to form this opinion. You can't ignore it, right? So basically, you are forced to get into these crazy topics that you don't even want to worry about, right? Let me say hi to the chat. Some more people came in. A lot of people, guys. So forgive me if I miss your name. I try to mention everyone. I appreciate all of you. We have Ruined by the Internet. Welcome.
Yeah,
welcome.
that's my audience too. Ruined, Landon, Neo Tango, and everything.
yeah.
I made sure to let everybody know. So some of my peeps are in there too. So appreciate
Fantastic, fantastic. Welcome all, guys. Welcome all. Rasmane, welcome. Welcome, sir. Nice to see you, man. And Captain Brad is also with us today. Yo, Lords. Welcome, Captain Brad. Benjamin Ben, welcome, sir. He says, wait, just tuning in. Is this guy Dutch? This guy is, yes. That guy is not. Welcome, Gordon, good brother. Nice to see you, sir. Welcome. Let me see if I missed anything. Mike says the decline of Western civilization, not just a pair of music scene documentaries. Landon Art says big news on Invincible Tag Fighter has just been announced.
Really? No way.
Whoa.
No way. No.
Oh, that's crazy. That is cool. So, wow, we have to look that up after the show, man.
Yeah.
Geek Man, Master of the Thunder Nerd says conspiracy. Oh boy, Flip City's ears must be tingling. Yeah. Right. Okay, guys, and we have Telcomax. Welcome, sir. Welcome. Nice to see you all. Right. So you were like initially you start. By the way, I'm really curious about so you love gaming. You start this YouTube channel, and I kind of forced myself to do YouTube because I wanted to sell my comic books, right? So I had to force myself to get in front of people. So how did that go for you? Are you like a natural like YouTuber? Do you like being in front of the camera? How did it go?
Yeah. No, I like this question. No one ever asked me that. That's pretty interesting. Well, as a kid, man, I always had like one hell of an imagination. I'm always dreaming. I'm always fantasizing and everything like that. But what made me want to do the whole YouTube thing, because I don't know. Like I said, I like to create things. So what happened was when YouTube had started, I saw a lot of people create YouTube channels and everything. And back then in like 2006, 2007, like people doing like comedy sketches, that was like the meta in early YouTube days. Everybody getting in front of a camera, acting silly, or doing like little movie sketches and stuff like that. So I always wanted to do my own little short films and stuff because I love movies. I love filming and everything. I just never acted before. I've never been in front of the camera before, but that's something that I always wanted to like pursue and stuff as a hobby. So I decided, my father had bought me a webcam, and I got in front of the webcam and created my first YouTube channel. My YouTube channel was called Melchizedek. That was just like a username that I used for all my RPGs and stuff like that.
Like,
and that's where I did a lot of my.
Does it still exist?
It still exists. It's still there. It's still there. So I would create little comedy sketches and everything. And it felt weird, like just seeing myself in front of the camera. It took some time getting used to, and I know that a lot of people, when they get in front of the camera, they get that little fright and stuff because they don't know how they sound and how they look and stuff. And I had that at first. I'm like, and I would delete the video and say, no, I don't look right. I don't sound right. I look horrible, or I sound horrible. Let me do it again and stuff. And over the course of years going by, I started getting more and more familiar. and comfortable with the camera, more and more confident in what I'm saying, and everything. And it really took me on an exciting journey, especially when I had especially with my dad behind me, when he helped me create Mugen TV. And what Mugen TV was, it allowed me to bring like creators of Mugen characters or in projects and stuff and highlight them in like this Mugen TV segment that I used to have on my YouTube channel. That's why it's called Mugen TV. And what I used to do was I used to read comments from the comment section and have people's comics pop up on my screen and everything. And this was like early YouTube. I was like, I'm really like the first person that's doing it in this space and everything. And it kind of made me, when I look at it today, I kind of like wish I would have like stayed with it or whatever like that, because who would know like how far I would have went with it, because I was the first in the space to do this. Had the green screen where they had the gameplay footage and stuff in the back. And I was pulling in like, especially back then in 2006, 2007, I'm pulling like 3 to 4K views and stuff. And that's a big deal back then. Especially in the early YouTube days and stuff. And so I started getting used to it. And then I decided to say, my dad said, yo, let's start going to anime conventions and comic book conventions and everything and take Mugen TV on the road. So that's what happened. Me, my brothers, we all go on the road. My first anime convention ever was Otakon. It was Otakon 2008. It was Otakon 2008 I went to. And my dad had this big camera, and dad gave me the microphone. I would walk around and interview people and talk to people and everything. And I was nervous then, because I said, yo, I'm out here in public now. And now everybody's watching me, because everybody see the big camera. People wondering like, who is this guy and stuff like that. And people would crowd around me. And I was like, man, I never experienced it, like something like this before. And it allowed me to open up, because I'm an introvert. I really like to stay to myself. I don't like to be around a lot of people. I can be very moody at times. Sometimes I don't want to be bothered. Like, just stay away from this. Leave me alone. I just want to be by myself, you know. But it broke me out of my shell. It really did. And I think what really changed everything for me is when people actually recognize me, because I was from YouTube. When I go out to these places, like one time I was sitting down, I was eating lunch with my dad and my brothers at the convention, and it was these 2 girls and this guy. They kept walking back and forth, and they kept staring at me. I was like, why the hell they keep staring at me? And then they finally walked over and said, and plus my hair. That's another thing. The hair is my brand. I
to brand yourself, right?
Yeah. So people they walked over and said, I don't want to, we don't want to seem weird or anything, but aren't you from YouTube? I was like, yeah, MugenLord, right? I was like, yeah. I said, oh my God, MugenLord. And now I'm taking pictures with my subscribers, and people want me to sign autographs and stuff. And I'm like, I'm a little YouTuber, you know, especially at that time. I'm a little YouTuber, but my little community that I built, people recognize me. So when I'm walking, people looking like, is that him? People trying to see me before they approach me, and they walk up to me. So I took pictures of all that, got all that on film, and I made a collage of all that. I said, man, these are amazing memories to hold on to and stuff. And it allowed me to go out and break out of my shell. And then I actually started talking to game developers. I interviewed Tom Lee, the director behind the Dead or Alive series, especially Dead or Alive 5. And then also went to the fighting game. I went to the FGC event, which is the fighting game community event. Met a lot of professional fighting game pro players like Justin Wong, Chris G, and a lot of other people I got interviews for and everything. So things were just going up and everything. And so that's how it broke me out of my shell. And now when I look at my videos, I see the evolution of myself and where I started from, and, you know, where I'm at now, you know. And now that I have a daughter, and it's amazing to see how my daughter, she's impressed when she sees me go out into these environments, and she sees like a different kind of me compared to, you know, her father that she sees at home. So we out in these public spaces, and I'm, you know, talking to everybody, connecting, networking. And now that I got a comic book company, Venus Orion Comics, people, you know, see me pitching Venus Orion Comics to people. It's like a whole nother confident level of me and stuff. And I just enjoy every last bit of it, man. So yeah.
Wow, fantastic. Yeah, that's. And you're not the first like YouTuber who starts a comic book company, right? So how did that go for you? You always were a comic book fan?
Yes. I love this question. Well, okay. So for starters, when it comes to comics, my father, he is a comic book fanatic, especially back in the day. He loves Marvel and DC. more specifically, he's a big Marvel buff. His favorite character is Spider-Man, but most importantly, his favorite character is Doctor Doom and everything. And so essentially what happened was when I was young growing up, my dad would read a bunch of Marvel and DC comics, and I would literally sit on his lap when I was a little kid and watch him read comics. Or when he's finished reading one comic, he would pull a comic out of the box and give me a book while he read his latest issue and everything. And that's what got me into, you know, knowing these characters within Marvel and DC. And then it got even more exciting once, you know, finally the Batman animated series came out, and then the X-Men animated series came out, and sitting down with my father watching this stuff. And my dad is a grown man, but he's a big kid, seeing these characters on screen and everything. And it was just it was an amazing experience. And then when Spider-Man, the cartoon animated series came out, so I've grown a love for these characters. I have grown a passion for these characters, especially when Justice League animated series came out. I was a big fan of the Justice League. So it was just only natural, you know, that I would get into these things because of my father. Like I follow after my dad, and that's what's important about fathers when you have them in your life and stuff like that. You kind of model yourself and you look up to them, you mimic them and stuff like that. And that's where it came into be. So doing these things, and my dad is also a gamer. Like my first, my dad, my mom and dad always told me, like my dad was playing Legend of Zelda on the NES while I was in my mom's womb. And then when my mom gave birth to me, and when he turned on the NES, the Legend of Zelda theme song came on. My dad said, you was a newborn, but your eyes was wandering around the room, wondering where that theme song was coming from, because you remembered it while you was in the womb. So the first game I ever played was like Legend of Zelda on the NES, which I have a big connection with the Legend of Zelda series. But my first console that was completely mine was the Sega Genesis. So my parents had bought me the Sega Genesis, and then since then I was collecting game consoles. My dad would buy himself a console, then buy me a console, and whatever like that. So I became really, really big into video games as well. So my imagination is just vivid. It's just wow. So as a kid, I'm like writing stories and everything. And when I got to 5th grade, we had this thing called journal time, where our teacher would like give us like 30 minutes to like 45 minutes to write in our journal, and then we had to go in front of the class and read it out loud. We had to do like a page or a paragraph or like that. But me, I'm doing like 5 pages. I'm writing. I'm creating my own stories and sci-fi. I'm doing all kinds of stuff, and then it was like automatic A, because it was just so wild. Because like my teacher looked at me, and everybody in the class was so captured by it and everything. So that's what made me really, really start honing in and say, yo, I like to create. I like to design and develop things. So while I was in 5th grade, my cousin Tyree, we was in the same middle school together, and we had the same class together. So one day we sat down, and I was like, yo, I'm a big gamer, big fan of Sonic the Hedgehog. So I was like, yo, I want to create my own game console and video game company. So my cousin was my cousin was an artist, and he was a big fan of Dragon Ball. And for him to be a 5th grader, the Toriyama art style, he was talented. Like he was going to go to art school and everything. As a 5th grader, he's drawing like actual Dragon Ball art, like really, really professional at 5th grade and everything. People seen him as a prodigy. So what happened was, I said to him like, "Yo, man, I want to start a game company, and I want to have a game console." He said, "Sure, man. Like I would sketch it up for you and stuff like that. You have any ideas?" And the first thing that came to mind was Venus Orion. It wasn't Venus Orion Comics. It was just Venus Orion, because I was thinking about gaming at the time. So I was like, I want to be a game developer when I grow up and everything. So I came up with Venus Orion, and then I came up with Venus Orion.
Where did the name come from? Venus Orion?
It was something that just popped in my head. It just popped up in my head. Yeah, it was just something that popped up in my head. Venus Orion. I don't know why it just popped up in my head. I said, yeah, Venus Orion. So so he's like, all right, and then he drew up like a blueprint and a sketch of the console, the Venus Orion game console. And then my first mascot for the console was my first character was called Radical the Porcupine, because I like Sonic the Hedgehog. So he was an anthropomorphic creature and stuff like that, badass and everything. And even today, like I have my artist, she drew him, she brought him to life. So I got a new version of him and everything. But yeah, Radical the Porcupine, Venus Orion game console and stuff, and it was something that I had dreamed. And I mean, a lot of people laughed at me growing up. You know, like they would poke fun at me when I talk about the Venus Orion game console. I had my friends they was like, yeah, that game console is on like the size of a VCR. They used to just joke, and so the controller would be like a VHS cassette tape and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He used to clown me and stuff, but I was dead set. I said, this is something I wanted to do, but then you fast forward into like the future and everything. I kind of like, let it go. I haven't thought about it, but I was getting into other creative tools. RPG Maker. I love RPGs. I love Final Fantasy, the Tales series, Suikoden. These are JRPGs like Chrono Trigger that I've grown up with. And I also wanted to write my own stories. I wanted to create my own RPGs because Venus Orion. So I got into RPG Maker. My dad had bought RPG Maker for me for the PlayStation 1. And Venus Orion came back again because now I got a Venus. I made my own Venus Orion logo and everything for my RPG Maker games. And my first game was called Guardian Sages, and then it was Galenia after that. And I took it from there. And then that's when I got introduced to Mugen. When I found out that you can create your own fighting games, I said I love to create things, so I wanted to do that. And then fast forward, I'm also a 3D hentai animator as well. So I create my own porn.
What?
Yeah. So yeah. So when I found out I can create, I said, oh wait, I can create my own porn too. And I can write my own storylines for my own hentai. I'm like, all right, let's sign me up. I want to figure this stuff out. So I love to create. I'm addicted to creating things. So whatever the genre is and whatever the tools that's available, if I'm able to touch it, put my hands on it and give it a try, I'll try it. So my 3D hentai business or hobby has become so lucrative. It's the main reason why I was able to start Venus Orion Comics to begin with, because I was able to take that money and invest and start Venus Orion Comics. Now, where Venus Orion Comics came from, I would say that it started during the pandemic. The pandemic, everybody was locked down. And I was just making too much. I was making so much money because of lockdowns with my hentai. Everybody's home, so everybody's consuming adult content like crazy while everybody's home during lockdown. So I'm sitting there and I was like, okay. I said I haven't created any new ideas for RPGs in a while. I haven't touched RPG Maker. I haven't done anything as far as being creative, on my with my stuff, And I said, and entertainment right now, they have ruined everything. They've ruined Marvel. They ruined DC. Everything that I love, everything that I love to do, playing video games it's depressing now and stuff. So it pushed me going back to my creative. I started going back into my PC, open up all my files and everything of storylines that I've written in the past and stuff. And now I'm starting to reorganize everything. I said, you know what? Let me see what I can do with this. So during the lockdowns, I had an idea. And I was like, okay. When I was in college, my brother Kevin, he called himself Keo because he has his own photography business and custom t-shirt business. So he goes by that alias Keo. So Keo had a friend named Donnie who was a photographer, and this is back when I was in college at the time. And he had this camera, and he wanted to practice using this camera on my brothers and his family and stuff so he can get better because he had a photography class. So my brother would go around Donnie's house and get these pictures taken of him and stuff. So one day, while I was in college, when I came home, he said, yo, you need to go around Donnie's house. He takes some cool pictures and everything. So he said, yo, let's just get styled up and dressed up and stuff for these pictures and come up with some ideas. So I went around there and they had me put on these gothic like pants with the chains and stuff like that. I had a replica katana and stuff like that. And we were taking like these cinematic pictures and stuff. So my dad seen the picture and said, oh my God, like my son's like urban vampire hunters and stuff. He said, I know, VK, Varion Keller's Vampire Killers. We should come out with our own like online web series and stuff like that. My dad just came up with this idea and stuff because he's seen the pictures that we took, the photo shoot. So it never happened because I kept going back and forth to college and stuff. It just never happened. But now I'm thinking about VK. I'm thinking about Varion Keller's Vampire Killers. And I said, yo, it'll be cool. What if I can make this into like an anime? Like, I want to see what this would look like in cartoon form. So I went back and found all the old photo shoot pictures. And I said, I need to find an artist. And it was a pain in the ass looking for artists because I was looking for artists saying, hey, can anybody draw this, that, and the third? I was meeting people on Twitter, even some YouTubers who were artists, man. I would pay these people and they would run away with my money. They were just robbing my money and stuff, just taking my money from me and not producing any pictures or anything. So now I had to start hunting people down to get my money back and threaten to expose them and say, yo, y'all a bunch of thieves. Y'all taking my money, but y'all, I'm waiting like I almost waited a whole year or whatever. So I kind of almost got discouraged. But for some strange reason,
I've been there.
Yeah. For the first time, for the very first time, a YouTube ad was actually useful for once. Fiverr popped up. A YouTube ad for Fiverr popped up and said, "Yeah, you can subcontract artists and all that." Like artists, I said, "All right, let me go." I was like, "Let me click on it." I clicked on the ad, got there, and seen all these artists. There's a bunch of artists. I mean, it's like I was like a kid at a candy shop. I said, I don't know who to choose and everything. Yeah. So, but what I did notice that there was a lot of good artists, but there's a lot of artists who's trying to mimic legendary artists. I wanted something a little bit more different or a little bit more unique. So that's when I ran into Chabibit.
Did you, by the way, did you know beforehand what kind of style you wanted? Or did you
I wanted to go for I wanted to go for like an anime manga type style. Because during my like I would say like my preteens to my adulthood, what Eastern animation and just anime took over. Like I just started getting away from the Western stuff, like the Marvel and DC stuff, and the anime took over my life since then. So I already had in my mind that I'm going with like an anime manga type style and everything. So I ran to Bibit, Jessica. She's from the Philippines. We still work together now. She does all my artwork and everything and stuff. So I ran into her. And I've seen all these positive reviews. I've seen all these reviews. She's verified, so that's a good thing. So you're safe. These people are verified. So these not just random people saying that they're artists and stuff. The website verifies these people, and then you get reviews on these people. So I hit her up. So I took these pictures. I said, "Here's a photo set of this photo shoot called VK." I said, "Can you take these photos of these of these characters and then turn them into like anime, make them anime looking?" He said, "Oh yeah, sure thing, I can do it." So next thing you know, within 3 days, she came back with the pictures. I was like, "Whoa!" And I was impressed. So I said, I didn't tell my dad, I didn't tell my brothers. I said, I'm gonna surprise them. I'm gonna have them do all I'm gonna have them do the Drayden brothers and do Varian Keller himself. So she drew all of them, and then I made a slideshow presentation, brought it downstairs, put it into the TV, showed my brothers and my dad, and they lost their mind. And my dad said, "Yo, son, oh my God, this should be, we gotta make this an anime." So I was like, "But being an animation is expensive." But I said, "I do want this to be an anime." I said, "But there's going to be these steps or phases to how we can make this a reality." So I said, "You know what? How about we start comics first with VK, Varian Keller's Vampire Killers, which is this book."
Oh, there we go.
Which is the first book right here, Varian Keller's Vampire Killers. And what happened was I came up with the idea to start with the comic book first. So my dad said, "Okay, if you're doing comics, have you thought of an idea for like?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do a comic," but I said, "No, hell with that. I want to do a comic book company." So my dad said, "All right, son, go ahead. Like, yo, you got my full support and stuff like that." So I was like, "All right." So I was like, "What would the name of my comic book company would be?" And that's when Venus Orion came. And I was like, it went back into my past, and I said, "Okay, Venus Orion Comics." So
full circle.
Yep, full circle. I said, Venus Orion Comics. I said, this is what we're going to do. I said, I'm going to do this in phase. I'm going to start with comics first, get people to know, get to know the characters, get to know the lore, get to know the world and everything. And then eventually I want to get into gaming. Then I could be able to start Venus Orion Games. And then eventually the biggest thing is animation, Venus Orion animations and stuff. So that's why I'm doing everything in these steps and everything. So now I went to my artist, Chabibit, and I told her, I said, "Yo, I'm going to do this." And this is back in 2021. I said, "I'm going to do this. I'm going to start a comic book company, and I want to launch my first comic and everything. Let's get this started." I said, "But first, I have to get everything together as far as the characters and everything." Now, fun fact, there wasn't supposed to be a shared universe at all. VK was the only thing that I had in mind. Varian Keller's Vampire Killers was the only comic book series that I had in mind. Now, what happened was, as I started building the world of VK, and the city that it took place in is called Neodelphia. Neodelphia. Let me see if I think I got an image of Neodelphia. Let me see. Let me bring the image file up of Neodelphia. And as I started building Neodelphia started having a life of its own. I started creating corporations. I started creating, all these different factions and everything. And Next thing you know, I started coming up with different characters. So the first character that came out of it was Neo Suit Johnny, and Neo Suit Johnny is the grandson of Harold Neo and part of the Neo Industries legacy. And Neodelphia, which I'm going to bring up here, social media. Oh, not the social media. Let me bring up the folder for you.
This is your website, right?
Yeah, that's the website. Yeah, that's the website.
VenusOrionComics.com. Guys, the link to this website is in the description of this video. If you want to check it out, see what it has.
We'll go over that too. I'm just bringing up Neo, trying to find if I have my
Right,
there we go, Neodelphia right there. Let me bring that up.
Meanwhile, let me first say hi to a few other people. The Abyssarian, welcome, Abyssarian. Landon Arts had a question in case you missed it. I did. I'm really sorry about that. Here's a first question for you. Have you gotten a copy of the first chapter of Varian Keller's VK? No, I don't think so. I maybe. And welcome, Samantha. Welcome.
Oh, hey, Samantha, what's going on?
I'm sure Amanda says, I'm sure there are a few show hosts in the network that would like to interview this man. Connect me, Dave. Sure, we will. Did I miss anything? Let me see. No, I'm all caught up. Right. So you have this.
Yeah.
Let me share this.
So this is Neodelphia. Now, this was crafted by my artist. Now, she's also an architect in the Philippines, so she has very architectural skills and everything. So when I came up with the
crazy good, man.
Thanks. When I came up with Neodelphia, she's like, okay. She said, I want to build it. This is a 3D image of Neodelphia, and she put like a comic book filter and everything over top of it. Now, this is the funny part. When I first mentioned Neodelphia, she said, okay, so this is awesome, good. I get to really put my architect skills to the test and everything. So say, okay, so what ideas do you have? Do you have a floor plan? I'm like, a floor plan. I'm like, woman, what are you talking about? She said, a floor plan. When you design like a city or you design something, you need a floor plan. I said, right. I don't know any of that stuff. I just want a city. She's like, okay, so how about this? Find the Philadelphia a floor plan, and I'll break it down to you and stuff like that. Is it grid-like and stuff like that? So I found a Philadelphia floor plan and everything, showed it to her, said, okay, I know what I'm going to do. So now what you see right here is Neodelphia. This is where the story of VK take place. Now, Neodelphia is one of 3 mega cities. You got Neodelphia, you have Neo York City, and then you have Neo San Fran, which is the youngest of the Neo cities that has been built. Now, what happened was my stories take place in 2025, but my world's history is completely different than our history in the real world and everything. Technology had advanced a bit more in my history of Earth and everything, and even down to our history of wars that took place didn't even happen. Different things happened and stuff. So so what happened is how Neodelphia came to be. There was a civil war that took place 200 years ago, before the events of VK and many other stories that I'm going to have in my universe, where America has split into 2 different factions. You have the Guardian faction, then you have the Freedom faction. So after the results of the war, now America has split. You have Guardian states and you have Freedom states. Now, what caused the civil war? Well, you have to find out in my various different comic book series that's going to show you how all this happened and how all this, this divide came. But every once in a while, you would have this place called the Hall of Reconciliation, where both of the governments would come together and, have their meetings and talk politics and stuff. Well, what happened was there was 3 major battleground cities where this civil war had really took the most damage, and that was New York City, Philadelphia, and San Francisco. And after the Civil War, these cities was pretty much decimated and everything. But the Guardian side had won these cities. They beat the Freedom side. So the Freedom side had to be pretty much pushed out and everything. So what happened was, now that both these governments are now separated from each other, now they have to rebuild and restructure. So now the Guardian state government had to rebuild these cities. But because of the war, they're struggling in financing. They've been strained. So Neo Industries decided to step in and say, hey, we would love to rebuild, these 3 cities or whatever like that. So they would somewhat have part ownership of these cities. That's why they call neo cities and stuff, because the neo industries. So the Guardian State government says, sure, but there needs to be some regulations, and they will also have to build the Guardian protocol or the Guardian system into these cities. They're built into it. So in these cities, Guardian cities are pretty much surveillance cities. You have a Guardian score. So when you do things like, speak against the government, or whatever like that, it decreases your Guardian score. If your Guardian score reaches below a certain point, you lose access to certain parts of the city. Also, they'll come in and take you away, and for you get rehabilitated and stuff like that. And there's also ways to increase your score. And you also have a Guardian Watch. Your Guardian Watch monitors everything and stuff. And there's a class system that's built there, because despite everybody supposed to be protected, because the Guardian system is said that, we're here to protect you and everything. So most people gave up their civil liberties for this protection, but it's only protecting the privileged people, because the city is broken into different districts, and you have the civilian districts A through D, and D is like the slum area where everything is just really messed up, and like the Guardian system really don't care about these people. But when you look at this city right here, you see the Guardian Tower in the middle, and no matter where you at in the city, you can see that tower. You can see it, and it pretty much feeds you propaganda. It feeds you what they want to feed you as far as the news is concerned.
Yeah, man.
And if people violate the protocol and stuff like that, their name and picture will pop up on that TV screen for everybody to see and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on. And
the basic premise, by the way, what's cool about it is that it sounds really plausible. Like things could actually happen. Much of this, right? Like you're describing.
So
entire world building process. How long did that take you? Or did it happen while you started to write?
Yeah, it happened while I started to write, because like as I said before, like I've been wanting to do this ever since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So now that I'm actually pursuing this, everything that I had in my mind is just coming out. It's just flowing like water. I'm just I had no for these past 5 years. Like I said, I started working on this since 2021. So 5 years straight, there's no writer's block. It's just oozing out. It's just creativity just oozing out, because there's things that had bottled up inside of me, that I wanted to work on and create. So like I said before, in VK, you only can imagine how does vampires like navigate this type of city and stuff like that. And the thing is, behind closed doors, there's a shadow war going on between 3 factions in Neo-Delphia. You got Third Echelon. If you need an equivalent of what Third Echelon is, think of S.H.I.E.L.D. You have Third Echelon. Then you have the Church of Elohim. And with the Church of Elohim, on the surface, it's like a church just with nuns and priests and stuff and fathers and everything like that. But no, they slay demons and everything. I mean, these are like badass priests, badass nuns. They use guns. They got all kinds of stuff, magic and all this other type of stuff. And society doesn't even know that this stuff is going on. That's why it's called a shadow war, because society don't even know vampires exist. Don't know these demons exist and stuff like that. So then you have the third faction, which is called the Obscure Order, which is the vampire society, the government itself, the vampire government itself. So these 3 factions are pretty much going at it with one another behind closed doors and everything, and while on the surface, people are just going about their everyday life. So now what happened was there within Neo-Delphia, the Church of Elohim and Third Echelon were working together to create new weapons, new technology to be able to slay vampires much more efficiently, effectively, and trying to eliminate them altogether. But something goes down in one of their testing facilities in District E, and this explosion had pretty much killed a crazy population of people within that district. And this would cause the Twilight Band within the Shadow War that Third Echelon and the Church of Elohim has agreed to do. And because of this Twilight Band, no vampire hunters can go out and hunt anymore. So this caused the vampires to go crazy. The Obscure Order, they started just coming in, sweeping and just taking over things and stuff. So now you have, this is where Varian Keller comes in, which is the title. Now this is Hezekiah Draven. He's the protagonist, one of the protagonists, but this title is called Varian Keller. Varian Keller is an important character. Varian Keller is a Third Echelon agent. He's in this section, or he's part of like the vampire hunting like faction or the section of this corporate of this agency and stuff like that. He fights against the supernatural things and stuff like that. So Varian Keller, he's upset about this Twilight ban. He's like, yo, we go out and we hunt these vampires. Now we can't, and now they're running them up. And now they pretty much took over the city. They're infiltrated. They're deep rooted in Neodelphia and everything. So now what happens is his friend Dread Dealer, who also was part of his team called the Enigma Unit, he went out and started doing some investigations in Neodelphia. And he started going down the rabbit hole. And he started discovering some things that he wasn't supposed to discover. And it got him killed. But he left a dead man switch. He left a dead man switch to Varian himself. Varian's now wants to investigate who and what killed him, who killed him, and everything. So now what's going on is Third Echelon don't want him to investigate what happened to his friend Dread Dealer and stuff. So now he has to find people who can be his eyes and ears while he also continued to do his job as a Third Echelon agent and everything. So this is where he formed this group called the Retributes, which you'll see the members of the Retributes in Chapter 2 of VK. Because in Chapter 1, you're only introduced to one of the members of the Retributes, which is Hezekiah Draven. You'll see the other members in Chapter 2. So what happens is he's looking at the flash drive. He gets Tech Lock, Matthew Summers, who's also in Chapter 1, to decrypt it and everything. Because everything is decrypted that Dread Dealer had left behind. And it had led him to the Penn Institute facility. When he gets to the Penn Institute facility, everybody's dead. Blood everywhere. All the scientists is dead. But he finds the Draven brothers drenched in blood. The three brothers. Hezekiah Draven, Caleb Draven, and Isaiah Draven. And as he's investigating and everything, he sees them and he sees the potential in them. Because they killed vampires. And the thing is, the Draven brothers don't know who they are because they woke up in this facility and they have a knack for slaying vampires. They don't know how to get these fighting abilities and everything. So the person who killed the scientists that were in there was this vampire named Alan Fleck, who's also known as the Flamebringer. Now, the Draven brothers want to go after Alan Fleck is because they killed these two scientists that were kind of like mentor figures. Lionel Washington and Rosalie Haxter. Those two were killed. So pretty much Varian had pretty much told them that, yo, I will equip you with the skills that you need to have in order to become a proficient vampire hunter and become strong enough to fight and track down Alan Fleck. But in return, you got to help me find out what's going on in Neodelphia and who killed Dread Dealer. And this is where Chapter 1 picks up, is because Hezekiah Draven decided to go off on his own, because now this picks up 6 months later. Now this issue starts, and was essentially not spoiling anything, just setting you up the premise of all this. And
wow,
and
that was all like prelude.
Yeah, prelude, all prelude.
Wow, but that's like one of the fundamentals of writing, right? You have the world ready, and then you tell the story on top of that. But you don't have to. You have to explain the world, but people know. Right? Yep. Because the entire story maneuvers through what you created, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff to take in. And this book that you presented, people can buy that through this website also.
On the website, you can go to the comic book, you can go to the shop, and when you go there, you can get, and I'll show you. There's 2 covers you can get. Now, there was a campaign. I had a Kickstarter campaign. And the Kickstarter campaign allows you to be able to get the exclusive covers B, C, and D. What you see right here, you have the digital comic and you have the physical. Now, I know the Velvet Room had reviewed my book. He enjoyed the book, but he was saying that the price of the book for the 28 pages that it is kind of pricey, and that makes sense. And the reason why it's $16 is because I went full on quality print, like the gloss and everything. So it's expensive. That's why it costs $16 plus shipping. Is because of the gloss and how the colors pop. And people who read my book say, yo, dude, like the artwork is phenomenal and the colors is just so vibrant and everything. So this is why it's $16, because it was expensive to print this at the quality that it's in, because I care about the quality for my readers and stuff. I want them to get the full experience and everything. But if you just want to go, if you just want to go digital, the digital is like $5. You can just get the digital for $5. And I also have a store. I have a store exclusive cover, which I'll show you. I got right here. This is store.
Oh, that's the first one here.
Yeah,
top left.
Yep. That's
$20.
Yeah. Yep, that's $20. Now, right now, this is sold out. You can pre-order. I just ordered a new wave of this cover because the moment I launched the website and everything, you guys came in and just bought the whole. Y'all just came in and just wiped it out. So now I have to reorder. Good. Yeah, I have to reorder, and I'm waiting. They won't be here until like the 20th. But if you click on the link or you click on it, you can hit the pre-order button, so you can make sure you snap a copy of it and stuff.
Oh,
now,
cool.
This is the.
So does this book have a different like title, like Trigger? Is that?
Well, Trigger. Like, all right, I'm explaining this. Vampire, Very I Tell Us Vampire Killer is the title right here. But Trigger is what I'm doing with my books, and I want to explain this too, because those of you guys who missed out on the campaign itself. It was a successful Kickstarter campaign. I wanted $4,000 at the goal, but we ended up reaching $7,000. And also, when I do my books, I pay for the books to get done. So it's not a crowdfunding. It's more like a pre-order campaign, which means every time I start these Kickstarters, the book is already done. All you're doing is just putting money down. You have a pre-order, and once the campaign is done, it gets shipped out to you guys. It gets shipped out. So this was an exclusive cover. Covers B, C, and D for the campaign. So if you missed out on these covers, missed out on the campaign, these are no longer available. Now, the reason why I'm going to bring it back to the store cover for a second, the reason why I want to explain why it has Trigger on there, right here with cover D. This is what all covers D's are going to be for VK. It's a full spread. You open it up, it makes one full picture right here.
Oh yeah.
Now the whole goal of cover D is I will leave hints and clues that would foreshadow either events that's going to occur in the book or future events later on in the series itself. So essentially what happens is me as a writer and everything, I also want my books to be interactive. Even if you're not reading it, I want something for you to go in, theory craft, and figure things out. So there's a clue in here. So when you read for those who read the book, they went back to the cover and said, "Oh my God, it was hiding in plain sight." Oh, it makes, why I didn't see it. It makes sense because when you read the book, it's on a cliffhanger. I leave it on a cliffhanger, and I received a lot of. It's positive though, but I received a lot of messages that, "Dude, why did you end it that way? Why did you do that? Why?" Like now we gotta wait for chapter 2, and now when I looked on cover D, now it makes sense why it happened the way it happened and stuff. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing with the store cover. I leave little hints and clues. Trigger means something. It means something. You just want to figure out what it is especially when you read this book and what it relates to. But as you read the series itself, you'll start to figure out what Trigger means and why it is what it is. And then Threnody, that's another one. Threnody is another word too that you need to keep in mind. So sometimes you can go in the dictionary and find out what that word means and stuff.
I love that word, Threnody.
Yeah. So you'll be able to find out what that is, and then I have this mysterious woman as well. So if you read the chapter, you're already going to be asking questions who this woman is. And then, like I said, when you create your own world, you create your own kind of religion and scriptures and stuff. So here's a quote from the Elohim doctrine that's in my universe and everything. And this scripture is in relation to this woman here. So it's to keep the readers like just constantly, on their toes and just thinking about things and stuff. So that's what I love about it, and that's why I wanted to go with that. And as I said before, if you go to my let me see, if you go to my Paragons page on the website, if you go there,
wait, the Paragons. Oh, here,
yes,
yep, there we go.
So Paragons. Now the thing is, on my website every month, this website will be updated monthly. That's why I tell a lot of you guys bookmark this. Yes. What you see the new there is that she just went up this month. Every month there will be one Paragon of Fate, which is the characters in my universe. Now the Paragons aren't just exclusive to the good guys. The villains going to be uploaded on there. Supporting characters, NPCs is the pretty much bring the world alive. to life. And when you click on the characters, it gives you their age, it gives you their abilities, it gives you their backgrounds. So even though that these series aren't out and available yet, at least you get a little bit of background knowledge and everything like that to get a chance to know these characters and stuff. And you get to see some of the terminology that and laws and mechanics that my universe has as well. And that's Hezekiah Draven, one of the main characters of one of the center characters of Arion Keller's Vampire Killers, aka VK itself. So you get a little bit of backstory on Hezekiah. And these are the first, which I'll explain to you guys. I'm gonna grab this for you real quick so I can show you guys.
Really, really cool. Welcome, Cosmonaut Comics. Thanks for sharing the link to VenusOrionComics.com so people go check it out. Oh, wait. Look at that. Wait, Solo. Let's solo you for a second, sir.
Let me just put this here real quick. All right.
Wow.
So, all right. Okay. So what you see right here, each of these characters that you see right here, each of these characters represent a different comic book series. This is my phase 1. Phase 1 is it's called the Foundation. This is the foundation of my Venus Orion Comics universe. Each comic book series is going to introduce various different, mechanics and world building elements to the universe and to the readers itself. So the first book itself, we got Hezekiah Draven right here. He represents VK, Arion Keller's Vampire Killers, and he's the first to kick off this universe. Is because VK is the first to kick it off because it's the first idea that came up with all this. As I said before, VK was supposed to be the only book, but as I started building Neodelphia. I built Neodelphia. I said, man, I would like to name this city after a corporation. And that's why I came up with Neo Industries. Then with Neo Industries came Neo Suit Johnny right here, the grandson of Harold Neo. And this is his Cyber Edge suit, which is the Neo suit and everything. So right here, you have Ultra Squad X. Ultra Squad X, this character you see right here is named Photonic. In my universe, you have these people called Aberrants. Aberrants is equivalent to like a mutant in X-Men. So in my universe, we have aberrants, and the aberrant population is slowly but surely growing, and our government and the world's governments don't know how to deal with these people or like contain these people and stuff. So a lot of people are afraid of aberrants and what they're capable of. But you have this one aberrant whose name is Dr. Malcolm Crawford. He created an academy in order to house these aberrants, and then the government came together, and now they create this institution where you have these various different academies for these aberrants to be able to learn how to harness their powers. And when they enlist in these academies, they all have a specific academy badge. And it also allows them to not be able to register to the Aberrant Registration Act and stuff like that, to be followed and be monitored and stuff like that. So as long as you go to these academies and you participate in this program, you won't have to register to the Aberrant Registration Act. So yes, so you have these aberrants learn these different skills and abilities so they can go out into the fields for either support, military and all different type of stuff. But of course, there's still going to be friction between humans and aberrants. There's going to be fights. There's going to be a lot of I guess you would say prejudice against these people and everything like that. So it's going to be a mixture of X-Men and My Hero Academia, because you're going to have these young aberrants learning their different abilities and harnessing them and stuff like that. But yes, so Photonic's the leader of Ultra Squad X, and that's going to be the next book. So after chapter 2 of VK, this is the next book that I'll be working on, which will be chapter 1 of Ultra Squad X. And then of course you have the Die-Star champion Siona. This is where we go into the fantasy and stuff like that of my universe. Now her name is Siona. She's a Gaveshian. She's from the planet Die-Star. And what happens is this is intergalactic tournament that happens every 1,000 years, and it's this deity called Faustus, and Faustus has hosted this intergalactic tournament of champions. And what happens is these different planets within these various different solar systems are selected to participate, and every planet has to select a champion, and these champions have to go through these trials to be chosen as the champion and everything. Once the champions is decided on, they get teleported to this dimension to meet Faustus, and the winner of the tournament planet will be will have a chance to be protected because it's this thing called the Judicium Genesis, which means the beginning of judgment of the entire universe. Think of Revelations and stuff like that, the end of all things or whatever. So in order for these planets to be protected from this or whatever like that, these champions go there and participate in this tournament, and the winner has protection from this event, and also become a Tyrian knight to participate in this event, as a knight to fight in this war to end all wars for the universe itself. So that's what starts this, and Faustus choose a planet for this battle royale to take place. So in this comic, in Sionis, the planet this battle planet will be planet Earth. So she's going to be sent to planet Earth, and when Siona gets to planet Earth, she has to find an individual called a Dunamis, someone she has to link with. When she links with them, if she has the champion has a personal connection with them, depending on the Dunamis' personality, will also affect their abilities and also affect what type of ability links that they have with their Dunamis. And when they get down to the planet, their energy and their powers are stripped to level 1, so they can't level up unless they're linked to a Dunamis that they have to find, and they have to choose them wisely, because you have to pick one once you link with them and stuff and everything. But it's going to be a fun story. And everything, how that play out. And then Neo Suit Johnny. This is where, if people are curious about the Neo cities and and how technology had became so advanced for my universe, the Neo Suit Johnny is definitely going to be the series for you to be able to understand how Neo Industries became the way it was, where the technology came from, and you're going to learn about Neo Industries and Neo Suit Johnny. Now the thing is, Cyber Edge technologies is like really, really advanced, and that's the suit that he's wearing. Now, every Cyber Ed technology a suit also has like has a core to it, and depending on how powerful the core is, depends on how powerful the suit can operate. And plus, in order for these suits to be fast and efficient, the user within the suit has to have their psyche linked to it, so they wear a sideband. Now, the thing is, depending on how powerful the suit is, also put stresses on the person's psychological, I guess you say, efficiency and stuff like that. So a lot of soldiers have to take a psychological test, and depending on where their psi level's at, determines on what type of Cyber Ed suit that they can wear and everything like that. And in Neo suit, in Jonathan Neo's case, who's the grandson, he's 15 years old. A tragic accident is going to happen, which I won't spoil. You'll find out later, where it pretty much changed his whole genetic makeup and everything. Because this suit that he has is different from the rest of the other suits. Because the Cyber Ed technology, like I said, it's your mind linked to it. So it's like man and machine come together to move efficiently with the mind. But this suit feeds off of a person's wave essence. Now, the wave essence is a mechanic that's very essential to my entire universe itself, which VK is going to introduce. So you'll find a bit more about that in chapter 2 when that's finally introduced and everything like that. So because of its genetic makeup and stuff like that, the suit feeds off his wave essence, but his wave essence is constantly regenerating because of what happened in an accident. So he's the only one that's able to pretty much wear this suit and use the suit, but no one knows. Not even his grandfather, his father knows that is Johnny in that suit, and he goes to school and everything like that. But in this first arc, something happened with his grandfather. He gets accused, and his grandfather goes to prison, and he has to prove his grandfather's innocent when it comes to the court, to Neo Industries and stuff. And this is where he dons the suit, and he goes out there to clean up the mess and stuff, to prove his grandfather's innocence and stuff. So that's Neo Suit Johnny. Then now we go into like the freedom side of the Freedom State government side, because codename Viper and Cobra, they're from the Freedom States and stuff, and this is more like espionage. Let's talk about the criminal underground, because the Freedom States is not a surveillance state or what like that, but the Freedom State has some corruption too, and I won't spoil what that corruption is and why the Freedom States is no different than the Guardian States. It's just flipped on the opposite end of the coin. But this is Viper, codename Viper, and as you can see her makeup and everything, I gave her like that snake or that snake like type of look to her, and she has a younger sister who's also a mercenary as well. Now the thing is, her parents, her father was a criminal lord and stuff like that, who was killed, who was assassinated by this group that was sent by the Red Band Network and everything like that. And when she was young, she and her sister, they witnessed the death of their parents and everything. Bro's playing in Epic.
Yes. Holy shit. Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot to absorb, sir. This is years worth of material right here, right?
Yeah, man. Like I said, I've been working on this, man. I've been working on this for a very long time.
So one question. So every so this is phase 1. So
yep, phase 1. Yep.
These are individual books, right?
Yeah, individual books. Yep.
So when is the second book coming out? What's the plan?
Okay. All right. So the plan is VK Chapter 1 just came out, and we already begin by the end of the summer, around like August. We may be pushing it to September. Maybe September at the latest, we'll be starting the development of VK Chapter 2. Because VK Chapter 2 is the important, because this opens up the world. So it's important to at least have VK always a chapter ahead to keep readers engaged and stuff like that, to keep the world moving forward and everything. So we're working on Chapter 2 right now. Chapter 2 is going to be 74 pages. This is going to be a much longer book than the 28 pages and everything. So what happens is right now we're getting the resources and everything together. So by September, we'll be starting the development of Chapter 2 while I'm working on the rough draft. I'm working on like the 6th rough draft for Chapter 1 of Ultra Squad X. So while she's developing, while she's working and drawing on the book of VK Chapter 2, I'll be finishing up the script or finalizing the final script for Ultra Squad X, Chapter 1. So by the time Chapter 2 of VK is done, we'll be heading to the development of this book, and we'll be releasing this book. And then after Ultra Squad X Chapter 1, we'll do VK Chapter 3, and then Siona Chapter 1, and then VK Chapter 4, and then Neo Suit Johnny Chapter 1, and then Ultra Squad X Chapter 2, and then VK Chapter 5, and then this Viper and Cobra Chapter 1. That's how we're going. That's how we're going to do it. I'm gonna get different artists because she can't manage all this by herself. So she's only going to be drawing. She's only going to be drawing Ultra Squad X and VK, and I'll be shopping around for artists because I'm still going for the anime style and everything. So my requirement is the artist has to be on her level or better than her. I'm not going anything below that.
If there are artists watching right now who have the style you are looking for, they can reach out to you.
Yeah. And another thing I want you to know, like I'm about consistency. Once I lock you in as an artist, you're the artist for this series. This is your series. So you will always have work. So Jessica, she's doing VK and Ultra Squad X. That's locked in for her. She's all like every time a new chapter come out, she is that dedicated artist. So if you want to be an artist and stuff, when you get selected as an artist on any one of these series, that's your series. You're the artist for that series. Cool. So that's how I want to go about it. And then you have the Great Samaritan, the nation's avatar. This is more like the more if you're into politics and conspiracy theory, this is the book for you. The Great Samaritan, pretty much in this universe, after the Vehement War had taken place, governments all over the world had got a hold of this formula to this serum because everybody's trying to create their own quote unquote super soldier and everything called a nation's avatar. And Justin Emmett, he's from the Freedom States. He participated in the Vehement War, and they won the war, but at the cost, he lost something that was dear to him, and he got injured really, really bad. And his life pretty much fell to shambles once he came back to the Freedom States and stuff. But the two scientists who were rescued during this war or whatever like that against the Red Baku and down in Mongolia or whatever, they seen his act of bravery and they wanted to continue with the Samson Project. And they chose him as a candidate and stuff. And they came to him and they wanted to put his life back together. And they said, how would you like to represent your country, your country, the Freedom States? So what happened was with this formula, every country around the world has their own version of the formula and have their own nation's avatar. So he's the nation's avatar, the Great Samaritan of the Freedom States. Then the Guardian States have their own nation's avatar, which is a female. Japan has their own. China has their own. Israel has their own. Russia has their own. So this is going to be crazy how all this is going to play out. Some of them are going to be enemies. Some of them will be joining forces together. And it's about, you'll be asking that question, like can one person should be able to have this power of a nation and have this nation on their backs? You know what I'm saying? when they want to go do negotiations, they won't go out with guns. They would just send their avatar out there to handle these things and stuff like that. So if you want to know about the Civil War that took place 200 years ago, this will be the book that will actually talk and go in depth with it. Of course, some of these books will talk about the Civil War, but it touches a little bit on it. But this is the book that will go into details and how it started America and its divided and stuff. And then you have the Omni Protocol, the 8th Omni District, Faith Tanaka. She's part of the Guardian States. She is the enforcer of the Guardian system. She's part of the 8th District. They are like the boots on the ground. They fight the domestic terrorists and stuff who speaks against the system. Mm-hmm. But you're gonna be asking that question: are they the good guys? Because what happens is Neo San Fran has been taken over by this rebellion group called the Rubicon Alliance, which is a youth group who now discover what America used to be and want their freedom back. And they took over Neo San Fran. So they sent her and her team in there to recapture Neo San Fran or whatever like that. So so this is that. And then the Frequency Speedster Adrenaline, he's my speedster. He's tied to the Frequency Conduit, because in my universe, everybody vibrate at a certain frequency, and the Frequency Conduit is what materializes all living things, and it's connected by these 6 different frequency strands. You have space and time, you have sound, you have density, you have all these different type of things. And what happens is this young officer named Ethan, he had pretty much was doing an investigation where he goes into this laboratory where the first villain, Dr. Morgan Doppler, she was doing this experiment where she had this specific device or whatever like that, and the reactor was going crazy, and he was trying to get everybody out of there. Dr. Morgan wanted to stay there to try to stabilize the machine. He goes back into the building to try to get her, and they both get hit with the machine and put them both in a coma. And when he wakes up, he stands in front of the Frequency Conduit in another dimension. And the physical embodiment of the conduit is named Zexer. And he explains about the balance of the frequency that he must bring back into order. And he's granted the blue frequency, which is space and time. So he has speed and stuff like that. And then Dr. Morgan wakes up, Dr. Morgan Doppler, she wakes up and she's confronted by Zexer, and she's hit with the purple strand, which is negativity and stuff. Instead of her taking responsibility, she wants the power to herself. And they both wake up from their coma at the same time on different ends of the city and stuff. And then, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. But yes, then he has the power to run fast and all kinds of other stuff. Yeah.
Wow. That was epic. I love your passion, sir. Really, really cool. You have you're a man with a plan. You know, there's a lot happening, a lot going on, a lot of stuff coming. Wow. Really, really cool. And some people in the chat said they were following. So good job, because it's a lot of info. Wow.
Yeah, man. All this stuff I planned this stuff out for years, man. It's just what's frustrating is this stuff costs money. So it's gonna take a time for this stuff to actually surface for you guys to get these books in your hands and stuff. And my brother's gonna make my merchandise too. So this is the Ultra Squad X, the members of Ultra Squad X on my shirt. And everything like that. So you have Rampant, you have the Lad Spectral, you have Cerebra, Photonic, you have Adaptima, and then you have the other guy, Channel Red. And and the poster is back there too. You see the Ultra Squad X poster.
Oh yeah, cool.
In the back. Yeah, my artist, she drew
from the same artist.
Yep, same artist, same artist. And she has various. I love her art style. She has various art styles. And everything like that, and then of course, I love fighting. I love fighting games. I also got my artwork.
Oh wow, she made one of those for you.
Yeah, my artwork on my arcade stick. Yeah. So what you see here, hopefully you can see it. This post is pretty much this poster right here. That's the Valiant Ascenders. The Valiant Ascenders are like my Avengers. Eventually, these characters are going to come together and be one team together. So you have Hezekiah, you have the Great Samaritan, you have Siona, you have Rupture, you have Princess Adex, you have Adrenaline, and then you have the guy, you have Burnout up here. So man. So the good thing about this with phase 1, the stories are self-contained. So you can dive in at any time or whatever like that. It doesn't matter where you start. Yes, the comics will would nod at each other, but it's not crucial to the story itself. So yeah,
Right.
when you're reading, you pick it up in the world building. You say, oh, so this is happening while this series is happening and stuff. But you don't have to worry about that. It's not gonna be like a college assignment or nothing like that. You can just get right into it, read it and stuff. We'll start connecting things once we get to phase 2. Phase 2, we're already got that planned already. We're going cosmic. We're going to outer space.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. And the first series to kick it off is my dad's character, named Lazarus, Guardians, the Protector of the Outer Realm. Because like I said, my dad was he was an artist back then, and he wanted to get a job for Marvel Comics and everything.
Oh.
And while he was drawing Marvel's like the characters and panels and stuff that he was going to submit and everything, he was also drawing his own characters on the side. But you know what happens is dad became a dad, you know, and I was born, and dad married mom, and then the rest of us was born. The rest of my siblings was born. So as a man, you know, you put your family first, and you kind of set your dreams aside. So I decided that, you know, once I started Venus Orion Comics, I found my dad's sketchbook in his room, took pictures of it, sent it to my artist, and she redrew his characters and everything. And now I presented it to my dad, and my dad almost cried. And I said, Dad, I want your character as part of my universe. And he said, yo, let's do this. So my dad will be writing stories. I got his entire rogue gallery of villains is in my universe and everything. So yes, we're going cosmic in phase 2.
Creating something with your dad. That's so cool. That's really cool. Mr. MugenLord, sir, I could talk to you for hours. This is really, really cool. We have to slowly close things off, man. But fantastic stuff. We have one question for you in the chat. Landon Arts asks, question from MugenLord, who is your favorite Venus Orion Comics character that is not a VK?
Oh my God!
Picking your favorite.
There's quite a few of them, but they haven't been revealed yet. I have over 100 characters. And that's still not including the villains and geez. Let me put it this way: you're going to see one of those characters pretty soon. You're going to see them like this year. One of my favorites is outside of VK. You'll see one of them. I'll be revealing one of those characters this year. I have a whole slate of reveals coming, because I'll be revealing the first character to appear in Chapter 2 of VK this month. So stay tuned for that as well.
Right. Go to Good Brother says creators love all their babies.
Yeah, it's hard to choose. It's really hard to choose, man. Like it's so many damn. I love so much of them. When people ask me, you know, which one did you like the most? I'm like, I can't do it. Like I love them all, you know, because I think about these characters all day. I spend time with these characters and everything.
I know.
And stuff like that. Especially like I said, I can't wait till everybody meet when Hezekiah Draven finally encounters Alan Fleck, the one he's been trying to hunt down.
Sure.
And everything like that. And I can't wait till you see the dynamic between those two and their interactions with one another and stuff. And I'm just looking forward to see what characters that people is going to resonate with and who's going to be their fan favorites and stuff. That's what I'm excited about, to see who everybody likes and everything. I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, for me, it's not always the case. I love all my babies. Sometimes I don't love them, and then I either have to make sure that I get to love them, so like they need some work, or I kill them off. So yeah, that's the deal basically. Guys, there were some new people in the chat. I did see you. I didn't get to say hi, but thank you all for dropping in. There was one other question that Good Brother wanted to know. Let me see if I can find it. He asks, I really want to hear what Mugen thought about Perfect 10 #1.
Yeah. I haven't I bought it, but I haven't opened it yet, because I've been updating my website. I've been working on the next reveals for my Patreon and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend the weekend. I bought a couple of books, so I'm going to spend this weekend coming up just to sit down, and I'm gonna pop this open and read this, and then I'm gonna get my thoughts and opinion on this. The art style itself, the character, it's so. And I realized how important covers are. When I seen this cover, I said, "Oh my god!" Like it does take me back to like the Marvel and stuff like that as well. How the character is drawn and stuff. But the artwork is beautiful and everything. So I was like, you know what? I need to go find out what this perfect 10, because she's definitely a perfect 10 for sure. So I'm definitely going to pop this open over the weekend and everything. And then when I got the book, I'm like, wow, this is so heavy for one book. And I turned around and said, wait a minute.
It's a free book. Wow.
Yeah, I said, holy crap. So I'm like, all right, perfect then. I said, all right, we'll be checking that out too. So yeah, so
cool.
I'll be checking this out over the weekend.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Gordon, for the question. Right, guys, by the way, if anyone watching wants to buy a Perfect 10 comic, you can go to jmcomics.com, or you can go to Global Comics, and you can read the digital version. So, MugenLord, I want to thank you, sir, for being my guest for today, and getting to know you and getting to know your massive universe. It's massive. So, and if you ever want to come back, or you have a campaign going on that you want to promote, please reach out, and you're welcome anytime, sir.
Thanks, man.
And special thanks to all of you guys, to the chat. Thank you all so much for showing up, for being here, for the commentary, for the questions, for sharing the links, for liking this video. If you liked this chat, this stream, please give it a like. If you didn't like it, give it a dislike, and I'm very sorry about that. I'll be back next week. So again, through the Madness comic channel. This was really cool today, guys. Thank you so much. MugenLord, again, thank you, and see you all next week.
Peace.
Bye-bye.